Let's try one more. All right, everybody, welcome back to my basement. We're doing another rig rundown. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my pedal board in its current iteration. It is originally it was a Gator brand pedal board. Came with a nice like camouflage matching. Nice is subjective, but with a matching camouflage zip-up case. Unfortunately, the zipper on that thing did fail, so I had to get rid of it. I just carry it around in like a duffel bag now. It did also come with a Gator branded power supply. However, as soon as I got more than about 3 pedals attached to it, it got super duper noisy, so we decided to bypass that. I'll just start at the beginning of the signal chain and work our way through, and part of it's because of convenience, and part of it is because that's how it makes the most sense for me. And yeah, I'm just playing my G&L ASAT Telecaster style guitar into super reverb clone, which I'll do an episode on soon. I just have a little bit of reverb dialed in. I'm just going to even pull that back a little bit more, just so that we have just a taste, just so this, and just so you can hear the difference. Oh, that's never mind, that's vibrato. So here's the dry signal, no reverb, and here's with reverb, just a tiny bit. So yeah, start of the signal chain, we have the classic Jim Dunlop Crybaby. I believe this is called like the GCB 95 or something like that. It's the super basic one, no volume control, nothing like that. I did just modify the sweep on it a little bit, just so it doesn't go quite as high. So at the very top of the sweep, that's the sort of very highest it will go. I found that stock, it was a little bit painful in that very top end. So, you know, and that's something you can do just with a screwdriver and just sort of changing where the potentiometer gets moved on it. And yeah, I just find it prevents you from getting that really harsh sort of wah-wah sound that turns me and a lot of other people off. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like a wah-wah pedal. And yeah, it does all the like. For a while there, I had switched that out, and I was playing with the MXR Auto Cue, which is sort of an auto wah sort of thing. And I was doing that just to get more of the sort of Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia kind of auto wah sounds that you would get. But, you know, you can get 90% of the way there with this, and this is definitely a lot more functional when you're playing the funky stuff or you want to do those sort of big sweeps. The next pedal on, and this is the newest pedal, I just put this on a couple weeks ago, and it's called a Mimidi compressor. I think I got this off Amazon for like $28. And it's a compressor pedal, so if I'm in the sort of bridge pickup, and then I hit the compressor, compared to off. I've always had a love-hate thing with compressor pedals. I think they can steal a little bit of your dynamic range. And, you know, when you are a touch player, which I don't know if I am, but if you are a touch player, it can make a pretty big difference to how much control you get just with how hard you're playing on the strings and things like that. Having said that, I am really enjoying having this pedal on the board with a lot of my single coil guitars right now. I find it just sort of cleans things up and thickens them up a little bit. And, you know, watching like some Cary videos where he talks about like his funk technique. Again, just kind of thickens things up a little bit and helps out. Next up on the pedal board, it's it's a tuner. It's just the Guitar Fetish GFS GFT90 tuner pedal. It's not anything particularly amazing. Honestly, I think a Boss, like a TU2 or a TU3, is probably a better, more responsive tuner pedal. But it's a tuner pedal, it's cheap, and, you know, 90% of the time I'm using it more just as a signal kill in between songs, things like that. Next up on the list, this is the Golden Horsey, which is a Klon Centaur clone. I can't remember who makes this one. Again, it's a really cheap sort of mini pedal. I think it was under $40. And it does the classic Klon sounds. I'm mostly just using it as a boost and just to add a little bit of grit to my signals. So, and then obviously I've got the volume boosted pretty high on that. But you can also, you know, if you do opt to use it more as an overdrive, gives you a little bit of that, like, kind of brown, Marshall-y sort of tone, without being too much overdrive. It's honestly, it's a great little pedal, and I'm super happy to have it on my board. I haven't had it for long. But especially pushing, like the Tube Screamer, things like that, it is really nice to have. Next up on the board, we've got, this is a Keeley Electronics Katana, which is their clean boost, and it is that. It makes your guitar louder. One thing I really like about this pedal is it has the volume control on the side of it. So if you need to change it on the fly when you're playing or anything like that, you can kind of sneak your foot in there and make it happen. I am having some issues with the switch on this thing. I took it apart once and thought I had it licked, but it's doing the same thing again, so I'll have to fix it. And another cool thing about this pedal is the pot for the one knob on there is a push-pull pot. And if you pull it out a little bit, it just gives you a little bit more of a boost, almost into an overdrive. So that's a really, really sort of versatile pedal for sure. Next into the signal chain, another Guitar Fetish pedal. It's a GFS Retro Phase Classic, which is just a absolute direct 100% clone of a Phase 90. My favorite position in this one is just in the is sort of at the, what do you call that, about 7 o'clock, basically with the knob all the way down. And it just gives you that really slow sweep. just gives you that warm sort of washy thing. I really enjoy that. If you do crank it up a little bit and hit it with a little bit of drive. You can get into the psychedelic, like Hendrixy sort of stuff. You probably want a little more drive than that to really make it dance, but in any event, yeah, it's a phaser pedal. Going on from that one, we go into, this is the Root 808 pedal, Visual Sound, formerly Visual Sound. They're now called True Tone. Yeah, and it's basically, it's a clone of a TS-808 Tube Screamer, but it's got the little toggle. Excuse me. The little toggle there is a bass boost. So again, with single coils, I really like it. I'll start switching it off, and just to show you here. That's the classic Tube Screamer sound, right? And then you hit it with the bass boost. And it just gives you a little extra fatness that I really enjoy. My general rule of thumb with the bass boost switch is single coils, I've got it on. Humbuckers, I've got it off. But sometimes when you really want to get into the thickness of it, keeping that on with humbuckers can give you a really nice, warm, thick, wonderful tone. Over here, top left corner, this is a clone, again, of, I believe it is the carbon copy. I'm not actually sure which distortion, or sorry, which delay pedal it is a clone of, but it was a build your own kit. So basically they just send you all the components in a big bag, and then you get to work on your soldering skills, putting it all together and assembling it. And then obviously I tacked Mr. Peabody on there as like the time machine kind of thing. And yeah, you know, it's an analog sounding delay pedal. And yeah, I mean, there's a ton. If I want some more repeat. And I tend to use this one more with my clean tones. But, you know, it's a pretty versatile little delay pedal. And yeah, I mean, I'm super thrilled with it. It was really a lot of fun to build this one. And yeah, it's got those sounds. And then this one down here in the corner, this is the Line 6 Echo Park. And this is basically, it's their big green digital delay superstation squished down into a tiny little pedal. So on there, your knobs, you've got like a volume or a mix. Then you've got your repeat, your time, your mod function, which is pretty cool. It'll give you some really wacky sounds depending on what setting you've got it in. And then your settings knob. I typically just keep it in the traditional sort of delay setting. And there is a switch on there as well that takes you between tape, digital, and analog. I'll usually keep... Bear with me a second. Share the host and all. Okay. I'll usually keep it in the digital selection, but sometimes I'll go into the tape if I want to get a bit more warbly or neat of a sound. And it's also got a trails switch, and that basically just is if you switch the pedal off, whether your delays will keep going. For simplicity's sake, I usually leave that off, because sometimes if you want to end a song with a big trippy, like endless delay, it can go on forever and ever. But yeah, tons of different delay settings just depending on what you're after. And it'll do either there's more of your like slap back. It's got, eighth note and quarter note and all sorts of different echoes and delays. Super versatile pedal. One of my favorite tricks, well, I've got a couple. One is the ping pong delay, which I'm not really set up for right now, but it is a stereo output on this one. I'm just running it in mono right now. But if you set it up with 2 amps, you can basically get your delay to sort of ping pong back and forth between those two. And it gives you a really cool sort of lush full sound. And then for the last one here, and this is probably the trippiest sound on this guy. This is the reverse delay. And what I like to do with this, again, is hit it with some overdrive and maybe open it up a little. Yeah, and that's mostly fun and just kind of crazy. Yeah, so that's my pedal board. As you can see, there's only a couple pedals on this board that actually cost more than $100. I think of them more as tools to get where I want than I do as like, this is my tone, this is what I'm after. I definitely need some sort of tube screamer, some sort of boost, and some sort of delay. Everything else is just sort of fluff on top. And just for the hell of it, I'm going to turn all the pedals on minus the tuner, and we're going to see what happens. Other than a lot of noise. And that's my pedal board. I guess I should mention as well, power supply for it. I'm just using the godlike single plug power supply run into a daisy chain. I had used the one spot. I've gone through about 3 or 4 of those though. And every time you run into a venue with bad power, for me it was always the Cavern. I blew them up like nonstop. I blew up 3 or 4 of them just with bad power. And this godlike one is just bulletproof, and I've never had any issues with it whatsoever. The only noise that I get off of this pedal board is more so from the coils on my guitar and proximity to the amp, as opposed to actual like power supply noise. It stays nice and quiet. I know a lot of people like having those big brick isolated $300 power supplies, but I just, other than the cleanliness of it, and as you can see, I'm not much for cleanliness on my pedal board, I don't see enough of an advantage to really go for it. You know, what I have works, and it's cheap, and it's cheerful, so there we are. Yeah, thanks again for joining me today. I will be bringing back the rig rundowns. I'll probably do some acoustic guitars, talk about my amp, I'll talk about my bass, and then we'll start getting into the drums and the real squidgy shit from there. Anyhow, you guys take care, stay safe, stay sane, and we'll see you soon. Love you. Bye.